All right, here we go. Today we have Peter Chin, a.k.a. Kid Jai, the former leader of the Chinese gang, the Ghost Shadows, who was sentenced to 35 years in prison for RICO. He's now out after doing 20 years. Welcome to VladTV.
Thank you for having me.
Well, you have a very interesting story, and I want to get into the whole background in terms of how you came about and the things that you got into. Now, before you were actually born, a lot of Chinese immigrants actually came to Chinatown in New York.
Yeah, correct.
And they created something called tongs.
Yeah, they was here before me, of course. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So describe what a tong is.
Well, a tong actually is that, they're actually supposed to help their own community, people, especially where the in China, they had a lot of different provinces, right? So the family name itself basically tell you which province that you came from. And just say, back in the day, usually it's Cantonese people. There wasn't much Taiwanese people or any other, group of village that came to New York. Actually, from the history of it, you knew that it came from California, right? From from those back in the days where they do the railroad. Yeah. So when the earthquake in San Francisco happened in 18 something, I forgot. But anyway, from there on, they spread out. They move out, and some of them wind up in New York Chinatown. So they created those tongs. Those tongs actually supposedly helping the people from their own province, right? Like the Hip Sing, they always wind up with a last name Ng. In New York, the On Tong usually wind up with the name of Chan or Chin, right? So like they basically, if you wind up with that last name, it basically that you're from the same village back in the home, right? So like they usually help them like financially or whatever, like even problems they have. Yeah, that's how actually Tong was created. It wasn't created for like for the gangster types and stuff like that. No, it actually helping their own people. Yeah, because back then they was worried about American people than their own people. Yeah.
Right, but over time the tongs became criminal organizations as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so in 1906 there was this huge earthquake in San Francisco.
Oh,
and Chinatown and San Francisco got wiped out. So a lot of the Chinese went to New York.
Yeah.
And then in 1965, they switched around the Immigration Act. So a lot of Chinese people were able to come to America.
Right.
So New York Chinatown began to really swell and grow bigger.
Correct. Yeah.
Now, you yourself, you were actually born in Hong Kong.
Correct. Yeah.
And how old were you when you came over?
8 years old. 8.
Okay. And your original name was Chin Chit Chui?
Yeah, that's my Chinese American name. Yeah. So when I go to school, a lady upstairs from where I first immigrated here, living with my family, the lady upstairs just gave us out of the hat, hey, you take Peter, you take Nancy, you take Mary, all my sisters, they give a name, that's it, to go to school.
Yeah.
So it's more easier for them to pronounce, the school teacher or something like that, yeah. So that's how I got name.
So you became Peter Chin.
Yeah, I never liked it in my name. Remember that fact.
Okay. Now, your dad was not around initially.
Well, he was never around when I was born. I never knew I had a dad, or I never knew his name. Never see him before in my life until I came here the first day, yes.
Okay, and you met him around 8 years old?
Yeah, when I first landed.
So how many kids were in the family?
With my sister, 5, 6, including me. I'm the only son, 6.
Okay, 5 sisters, 1 brother.
Yeah.
6 kids. And your dad, you met him at 8 years old, but he wasn't really around that much.
No, because he was working out of state, out of New York, which is maybe in New Jersey somewhere, because he only come home once a day. I mean, once a week, once a week.
Okay, so how's your mom really getting by with that many kids, being essentially a single mom?
Well, she have a hard time, a tough time. This book is basically about her. Yeah.
Okay, so you get put in school, but your mom takes you out of school.
She didn't take me out of school.
But what happened?
The one that she took me out of school when I was in Hong Kong.
Uh-huh.
She knew that we was getting ready to come here. The first, we talk about the one that she took me out of school. That's when I was like six years old, when I was in Hong Kong. The first day I was attending the Chinese school back in Hong Kong. So I was very excited when I was a kid. Oh, wow, I finally get to go to school. So my mother already had my, a uniform ready. Back in Hong Kong, everybody wear a uniform. So I had my uniform, white shirts and blue shorts and everything, and sandal. Last thing she put on me was a sandal. I said, Mom, my sandal got a hole. Right? So I always cherish my shoes. Every shoes I had, I kept them. Even the first pair that I had many, many years ago, I shined them. I clean my shoes. This is my hobby. But anyway, she says, I said, I have a hole, Mom. She said, oh, just wear them for now, I know that, yeah, she wasn't making any money. She was depending on the money that my grandfather sent it back, a small check or something like that. Yeah. So that's how we survived. Look, everybody was basically about 2 years different, my sisters. So the older sister probably older than me, like maybe 5 years, 6 years. So she has a handful. So all she could do is while at the same time, my father left. From what I heard, he went to Brazil, right? That's why I never saw him. The day I was born, I opened my eye and never saw him. So I didn't knew I had a father. I didn't know what a father was. I was very naive, another word. I never seen the world. I never seen it.
Okay, so you start attending school, but there is 2 large Chinatown gangs that were around
right?
the school.
Yeah, okay.
The Black Eagles and the White Eagles.
Yes. Okay. That's how my mother took me out of school. That incident.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So we was in Hong Kong. So my mother, come on, just wear that shoes, and we ran out of time. So took me to school, left me there. She went back home. She go pick me up after school. Not even within a half hour, this thing happened where we had to line up in school, right? In Chinese school, you had to sing the anthem of the school or whatever. So we was doing the singing. A big kid behind me, taller you go to the back. So that way you don't block the other one, right? So the teacher lined up 2 of them, 2 one for the boy, one for the girl. So I lined up, the dude behind me was a lot bigger, taller than me. And all of a sudden, he pushed me. He's like, for fun or something. Or everybody was singing that anthem. So he pushed me, I fell. Now, it's like domino effect, right? I fell all the way to the end. And the teacher was standing in front. So while that happened, I jumped up. I knew he pushed me, so I turned around. I hit him so hard I can, right? So the teacher saw me hit him, but didn't see him do anything. So said, yo, Chin, come here. So I went to the front. I don't know where I was going. Grabbed my hand, and then took me to the principal room where they had, back then, in Hong Kong, they could whack you. I mean, not they could hit you with a stick or anything. Nothing you could do. There's no rule back in the days that like United States, you can't hit a child, right? So there's all kind of different sizes of whip, over the plexiglass. Took one out, went in between them, whacked me 5 times. By the 3rd time, I was screaming and crying. I just took my hand off her and ran back home. I was crying. I keep crying, ran back home, and my mom saw me with full of tears and said, "Son, why are you crying?" My mother actually knew me. I'm not that type of person that I'm violent or make troublemaker. Even my sister. If you told her, you asked her, how's my brother? How's my brother? What kind of person is he? He's a scaredy shit. I was like that. So now you were talking about I'm 8 years old, so I cried. I wasn't 8. I was 6 or 7. I was crying. So my mother said, what happened? I told her the story. She grabbed my hand, my arm. Let's go. I didn't want to go back. I was thinking about a whip, right? No, another one. So I tried to put a big brake on my feet, and she just pulled me. So she went back to the principal and said, listen. She told her the story. Why, if you're gonna punish my son, how come the other guy don't get punished? She said, I didn't see nothing. I just saw him hitting him, right? Then my mother said, no, my son's not gonna attend this school no more. Because she already knew that, we was waiting for the paperwork to come to the United States. So I never attended school. I was very happy when she said, oh, wow, now I don't have to go to school now. I don't need to get whipped. So I hang around for, next thing I know, maybe 2 years before we got entry coming in. That.
Okay, so you come to America.
Yes.
And you start to attend school.
Yeah.
But there are gangs
Oh, they already, yeah. Black Eagle, White Eagle was existing already.
Right.
You
And they
heard
try
a
to
lot of
recruit you into the gang.
Huh?
Well, and they try to recruit you into the gang.
Yeah. Yes, they did.
Initially, it didn't work,
No.
but you got beat up a lot.
I didn't get beat up from them a lot, no, in school.
Oh,
No.
okay.
No, I didn't get.
There was a part in the book where they basically
They
made
beat
you.
up my friend.
They churn out your pockets when they find anything. So
but
they,
I'm pretty sure it was them, but I'm not sure what they in with the gang. Because where I got beat up on Mott Street, that's what later on we took over. It was always the Black and White Eagle had that territory. So I figured it was one of them. Yeah.
Okay, so at one point, around 13 years old, you actually ran away from home with $5.
Yes, correct.
Because I guess your father had hit your sister with a frying pan?
Yeah, he hits me first. Because like, he hit me with a belt. As soon as I walked in, we came in with our mother that night. And, you know, being that it's already 10 o'clock, right? My mother works really hard. She worked like 16, 18, 20 hours a day those days, right? And she worked in a factory. And the last department of the factory where you put all the clothing together, all the plastic back together, all the belt, and ship them out, right? Put them on the rack and ship them out. That's she in the last department. So she, by herself, she can't do it. Usually is that my sister helped them. When I got a little bit older, I always told my mother when I was like maybe 11, my mother said, no, you can't help me now. You're too young, right? So but one day I didn't really care. I just went up there and helped her. And then she seemed like to like it because I'm pretty fast-handed with everything with my other sister. So all my sister was helping my mother. Mm-hmm. So we came home with my mother, and my father was like, I guess he was drunk or not, but half the time he's fucking drunk anyway, right? So none of us, or my sister had any like a family tight with a father, daughter, or a son that talks, you know. No, we never had that occasion, never. If we saw him coming from the kitchen, we were going to walk out from the kitchen, going to the living room. And so we see him coming this way, we're going back that way, like that, you know. It was a bad environment. So, but what he did to me, I didn't care because why? I never cried, not once, not even the day until the day that I left the house. If I could see if he whipped me or hit me, had a reason, a little bit of reason, I could see. But no, he lost money, he gambled, he gets drunk, he don't care. So that night, when me and a couple of my sisters came home with my mother, finished working, 10 o'clock, go over the door, the first thing he says, where you guys went and fucking play or somewhere, right? Something like that. Play, I said. I didn't say nothing. I said it to myself. So I walked to my bed, on the bottom bunk. I was taking my, I didn't have shoes then, I had sneakers. The Polecat. You remember Polecat back in the day, right? So I was taking my shoe. He come and started whipping me with a belt. They keep whacking me with a belt. I didn't cry. But when he finished, because it didn't take the pressure that he wants it. Like, he wanted to see me cry, I guess. I never cried once. So when he just gave up beating me, he walked all the way in the back of the kitchen because like, what I call a railroad train apartment? Mm-hmm. Yeah, from one end, yeah. One back window, I could see the other street. The front window, I could see another street, right? So he walked all the way to the kitchen. So while I was thinking about, I was too young. So one of my sisters was preparing dinner. And two of them were actually preparing dinner. One helped the other. And my mother was in the bathroom taking a shower. I knew that day when I left, my mother didn't even know until she came out of the bathroom. So he took this pan out of he walked inside and took the pan out of one of my sister's hands. And while he was walking down, I wanted to peek, what the fuck he's doing now, right, to me? I said, what's he trying to do now? Okay, he took the pan and whacked my sister in the head, right? And it had a big noise or a whang or something, right? I just said, that's where all my tear came out. And that's it. So I pointed at it. It was quite a distance because, like I say, it's one back window to the other window. I had the door open, the lock already. So I was cursing at him with all kind of names that is imaginable. So saying that to him, I couldn't even cough in front of him. So now saying shit like that, I knew that was then. But I couldn't take it no more. When he put that pan, whacked my sister on the head. So This is what he said to me in the last thing, okay? This last one he says to me. I would see how you fight. He was chasing after me now with the knife. And I cursing. The first thing, when I cursed, he was running after me with a knife. So I was by the door. I have enough time to say what I hear what he said and tell him what I'm going to do. He says, see how you're going to fucking survive on the street, you fucking idiot, something like that, right? So I said, I push up my two arm and show my two hand. This is how I'm going to survive. I didn't have no idea. I didn't know I could survive. I went downstairs. That's when reality hit me. Right in the front, the entrance door. I said, shit, where I'm going to go? There's only two people I know in school. That was it. I said, I got no friend. I've never seen the world before. I never went out and paid a check. I was very, very, you know how a mother bird gave a chick the first day he was born? Same thing, just like that. So couldn't even fly, forget about, can't even walk. Yeah. So that's how I was that day. I was lost. I was lost.
Okay, so you run away from home, and you did have one friend named Alan. And the Black Eagles noticed that you weren't going to school, so they ended up beating up Alan, trying to find you.
Yeah, right, because that's the Black Eagle. I wasn't there. So that day when they came down, I think they just used it. I'm not sure what it is, but that's how I find out from my friend who got beat up. They beat up the guy, Alan, and I says, they asked him, what's Kid? Oh, back then it wasn't Kid. They just tell him was nobody yet. Yeah. So they asked him, what's Peter? He says, I don't know. That's how they started. Beat him, he got a black guy, really big guy, busted lip and everything. When the same day I found him, I said, hey, what happened to you? And he told me what happened. So I said, do you want revenge? I asked, he said, yeah. So that's how everything happened from there on.
Right. So then you hooked up with a guy named Spare Rib.
Exactly, yeah.
And Spare Rib was with the Ghost Shadows.
Yeah. I didn't know he was with the Ghost Shadow. And plus, Ghost Shadow back then was no name, like basically. You hear now and then. Yeah.
It wasn't one of the main gangs
No.
in Chinatown. It was sort of a fringe.
We were
gang.
the outskirts.
Yeah, the outskirts. Right. And the Ghost Shadows at the time were at war with the Black Eagles and the White Eagles.
Yes.
Okay. So Spare Rib took you guys to his apartment, and he gave you guys a couple guns.
Yes. I asked him for it.
Okay. Have you ever shot a gun before then?
No. That's why I told him.
Okay. So you and Alan take these guns and then go have a shootout with the Black Eagles.
Yes, correct.
What was that situation like?
No, I told the guy, I never fired any shot before. This is the first time I ever touched or seen a gun. So I told Alan, I said, you really want this revenge? He said, yes. So Spirit handed me those two pistols. I said, I saw 5 or 6 bullets and a 22 short or something. I take this one. There's 2 bullets, you take that one. I said, if you see start to fire them at them, you just fire them, right? So, well, actually, I didn't know what I was doing. I know how, what he told me, you just pull this trigger and all the bullets come out. I said, all right. Now, before we even got to there, that they saw us, they spotted us, right? Like, I would say a good 50 feet. And then Alan was behind me. I said, you just do what I do. That's it. You want revenge. They were starting shooting at us. Yeah, I fired all my bullets. They were like, I think they got 2 or 3 guns. They went under the car or something. It was on Elizabeth Street. They was firing at us. So I emptied everything out, and I told Alan where to meet me, and and when this thing is done. So when I met up with him, and I said, we got to return this gun. Because, I promised Sparrows that I'm going to bring it back to him, regardless of, anybody got hit or not. So I opened that. You know how, I don't know if you know how Dillinger is, right? With 2, like a shotgun, little small version of a shotgun barrel.
Yeah.
It shocks me. Those 2 bullets were still inside.
So you never shot?
He never shot. I went like crazy. But I didn't say, I did what I told him. I said, Alan, you could avoid this. You could prevent this. Now, not that you gave me the problem, but you gave yourself a problem. So I knew where I was going wrong, But him, after that incident, you know what? I said, I don't want nothing to do with you no more. And I totally forgot about, I never even heard about him anymore from that day on, yeah.
Okay, and at that point, you become the youngest Ghost Shadow member.
Yes, correct.
And that's when you become Kid Jai.
Yeah, they gave me that name.
Right. And then you meet the other members, Applehead, Mongo.
Yeah.
Taiwanese Boy, a.k.a. Taiwan, and Stinky Bug.
Yeah. Applehead was occasionally coming out sometime, you know. He wasn't a full-time guy back then. Yeah.
Okay, and the other gangs, the main gangs were the Flying Dragons, the White Eagles, and the Black Eagles.
That was it. There was no one, yeah. Wow.
And the way these guys actually survived was they would extort the local Chinese businesses.
Us or them?
Them.
Yeah, them, yeah.
Right. So basically, all these Chinese businesses, so for example, like the restaurants on Mott Street and everything else like that, they would pay these gangs for protection every month.
Yeah.
And what would happen if they didn't pay the protection money?
Or they would give them problem. They would. Usually they don't, you know. If you're reasonable with them, unless you want to squeeze them on the neck, you know, like something that they can't afford to pay you. Yeah. Usually they don't, yeah.
Like how much would they pay each month, like on average back then?
Well, it depends on the size of the restaurant. Like Silver Palace, and pay us $1,600. Yeah. So it's totally different. Every month they pay us $1,600. Some of them maybe $600. Some of them maybe $60 or whatever. It depends the size of their business.
Right, and the gangs, well, the other gangs that I named, they were linked up with the Tongs.
Yeah.
Like we talked about in the beginning.
Yep.
So the Tongs had the money, and they would pay the bail and everything else like that in case they would go to jail.
It depends. It depends because it depends if they pay the bill or not. If you do something for them, they usually do. If this, like for instance, you gave me that hit and something happened with this incident, the Tong, they're gonna take care of that. But if something on your own, they don't know, you gotta take care of yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
And at the top of this power structure was Uncle Benny, who
Hip
ran the Hip Sing, which was the most powerful Tong.
As you talking about, no, not at the very beginning. No,
but later on,
the On Leung, the On Leung was
right, and he was known as the Godfather of Chinatown.
Yes, he was. Yeah, everybody gave a lot of respect to him. It doesn't matter you White Eagle, Purple Eagle, or Black Eagle. You know what I'm saying, right? So everybody wise guy that knows about the street, they respected him. Yeah.
Right, and in 1973, just on Mott Street alone, there was 11 different gambling houses.
Oh yeah, sure.
And each of those paid $10,000 a week in protection to the Black Eagles. So basically, the Black Eagles were making $110,000 a week
Easily.
just from the casinos.
Yeah.
From the gambling houses to do absolutely nothing, essentially.
Just to make sure there's no problem. You know, there's no problem with it.
Were there problems happening? Were people trying to rob the places? And
When we came in, when we were trying to make a name, let us put it this way. The only gambling houses I never robbed was Uncle Benny. There's two of them. He only had two, but mostly he operated one. But I robbed every gambling house in Chinatown, even the Donghorn gambling house.
Well, right, because the Ghost Shadows didn't have a Tong associated with them, so you guys would rob the casinos because you didn't care about the Tong power structure and so forth. Right. Okay, well, you guys started robbing so many casinos that the Tong offered a $35,000 a head bounty to anyone that would kill a Ghost Shadow.
That was in Boston, the Tong, the On Leung Tong in Boston. They got subchapter of, I think they got 23 of them in the whole United States, in every state. Yeah, and most of the states, they add up to 23. Yeah. On Leung Tong, yeah.
Okay, so you had a $35,000 hit on your head if anyone saw you.
No. That was a little bit before me.
Ah, okay.
Little bit before me,
before you. Okay.
Well, one of our guys got whacked, got in Boston, yeah.
Okay, well, in 1974, you're 15 years old. Mm-hmm. That's when you were asked to participate in your first crime, which was to rob a gambling house.
Yeah.
Talk about that situation.
Well, okay. That one was on Canal Street. That one was overwatched by the On Leung Association, which is under the Black and White Eagle. They're supposed to overlook that. In those days, we were, right about where we took over Mafia, but it wasn't us. We didn't even, that wasn't our territory yet. So it was actually overseen by the On Leung. So we, like 5, 6 of our guys went up, like it's the 3rd floor. Yeah, it was 3rd floor. It was a long stair, really long. I show it to my writer, Eric. I took him to that place. He saw it. He said, wow. But anyway, I was young. I was like maybe the most 110 pounds, right? And we went into this gambling houses where a lot of people, 3 tables in there, big table, which is the major table. They call them the domino, the 13 poker, and a Fantan. Those are the 3 major table in the Chinese gambling houses you see. Consider gambling houses, you're supposed to have 3 of them, those 3. So a lot of people was gambling. And to tell you very comical was that back then we didn't have nothing. So we didn't have financial backing. You know what kind of gun we were using? Clean is with Magnum 44, 41, those like single shot, because they was using 38 special already, you know? So we didn't have, our organization didn't have no money. So we pull up those guns, and then, wow, I could see the patient say, oh, the shit, what kind of shit is this? It's very intimidating because it's big, huge. So me and Mongo, we went to one of the room. There's a safe over there. We trying to get it out. I told the guy, we knew who was the guy that, actually holds the money over there, right? We had all the information for that. So we told the guy, crack that, give us that number, or you open that. He couldn't open it. He keep saying that he don't have it. Now the time keep going, and it's storing time. I said, fuck it, Mongo. We'll take this fucking safe with us, right? We're not gonna, so we pull that, we find a blanket there somewhere, a thick blanket. We just put him on top, and 4 of us just flip it and then slide through the stair. Why we came out the door, the front door, right? It was like maybe 40 steps going down, slanted this way, right? So, we got it rolled all the way down there anyway. So now I was in the front pulling that thing and filled them up. Then the horse, the police that rides a horse, what they gonna call them, horsemen?
Yeah.
Police horsemen, yeah. Well, we're on Canal Street. Now, back days in the Canal Street, during the lunchtime that time, it was crowded. It's packed. Like literally, you gotta bump somebody to walk across the light, the red light. So it was on green light. They was going that way on Canal and Mott, and that place is very close to Mott than Mulberry. The next side street is Mulberry Street, the Italian neighborhood. So we park our car before we go up. It's on not on Mott, because Mott Street wasn't out yet. So we park on Mulberry Street. So now the police was sitting on the horse. Hold it right there. It said, hold it right there. So I keep yanking that blanket with a safe. That is about that size. It's a small safe, right? So we drag it, because the horse couldn't go through those people. The horse keep jumping up, right? But I got my eye on him. As soon as he could go, I would release that blanket and forget about the safe. But he couldn't catch up with us. So now, by the time we just turned the corner, that's where our car parked, and we rolled it up to the car in the back seat. We shut the door, and then we didn't even lock it. We just closed the door, and then we walked down to the Hester. Right the other way. And we were looking at him, we were looking at the policeman, and he came by and looked a little bit and then looked around, and then he disappeared. So that's why we hopped back in the car and we drove back to the apartment and cracked it out.
Right. And there's $100,000 in the safe.
Yeah. A lot of money then.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. Okay. Well, up to this point, you haven't gotten arrested yet. But then there was a situation happened where your dad broke your mom's arm.
That's my first case, yeah.
So you went and got a gun and went to go looking to kill him?
No, I wasn't going to kill him. I know it's going to hurt my family. I was shooting him, though. I was shooting him in the knee. Yeah, for doing some stupid shit to my mother like that, I was.
Okay, but before you found him, you got pulled over.
Yeah.
And they find a gun on you.
Yeah.
And you got locked up for 3 months.
Yeah, in family, juvenile, detention, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so you get locked up in juvenile for 3 months.
Yeah.
Okay, once you get out of doing juvenile, you officially become the youngest member of the Ghost Shadows.
I am. That's how I got my name, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, I've interviewed a lot of Mafia guys, and they have a whole ritual when they become a made man.
Yeah.
You guys do the same thing or something similar?
Back in the days, yes.
So what exactly was the ritual to become a Ghost Shadow?
Well, it basically it's the same version, but it's not that extensive. Like we had a general crowd in front of us with the incense, and we use a needle and pick the finger with blood and mix it around with wine and burn some incense and some kind of paper. Yeah, back then, yeah.
Okay, so now you're officially a Ghost Shadow.
Yeah.
But then you get into a situation where you and 8 other members get into a shootout with Joe Heineman and Lou Cupo at the J Chalet restaurant?
Wait a minute, that's the second one, I think. Yeah. And Pell Street, right? That's the one on Pell? Or in Challenge Square, do you know?
Not sure.
Oh. I had 2 incidents with a cop, yeah.
Yeah, because these were 2 off-duty cops.
Yeah.
That you get into a shootout with. But you're still a minor at the time.
Yes.
But the other 8 guys, they go to Rikers.
Yeah,
and get arrested.
Yeah.
Were you involved in the shootout yourself?
Yeah, that one, yeah. Yep.
Oh, okay.
So I got, that one I think, I'm pretty sure you're talking about the one that's the first incident.
The first incident.
Yes, we were in the bar. When I walked in, it was a small bar. The undercover was sitting over there. 2 of them was talking, they was talking really loud to themselves, really, really loud. So I passed to them, and I walked straight to the bar where Taiwan, Mongo, I think Apple was there. All of us pretty was there. I walked in basically the last one. And then they was having some word with them, I guess, before I entered in there. But when the shooting happened, I was there. I just pulled a gun. Because the next thing I knew, but a glass, one of our guys threw a glass over there, right, or at them. They pulled out the gun and start shoot. So I had a gun on me. I knew there was American people because I passed by them. I didn't know who they was. So, all American to me is the same, like all Chinese the same. You know how they looked at them. I didn't care, so I just pulled that thing out and fired at them. But I'm a lousy shooter, I got to admit. They was very close, right? They never hit one of us, but they killed an innocent patient. So now, when the dust, all the smoke is clear, what happened was that they arrested me, all the 8 of them, and then we all went in. Well, practically the whole crew is dismantled already, right? So that's how, we wouldn't have that many people. But what happened was that this was our case. We came home, not long, like maybe within a week, our case got dropped. And then,
well, right, because the 2 cops were drunk at the time, and they had their guns on them, which was a violation.
That's
you're not supposed
1.
to have guns on you while you're drinking heavily. Yeah. So they basically dropped all the charges and charged the officers internally.
The big reason is the bullet they tested, the ballistic test, the person that killed is from their gun.
Oh, so one of the cops killed an innocent bystander.
Well, if that bullet from us, they're going to charge us, definitely.
Okay. But then in 1975, another shootout occurred at the Sung Tong Gung restaurant on Pell
that's
Street.
the second one, yeah.
That's the second shootout.
Yeah, right.
Okay. What was this shootout about?
Well, I say almost similar to the other one. When I stepped in, they was having words with each other. Well, in the distance, then they started firing at us, right? And then I just pulled out the gun and then start firing with them. Yeah, and then we got all arrested for that. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know how that got dismissed, though. I forgot. I tell you the truth. It's so many years ago.
Well, originally you were sent to juvenile because you lied about your age, but once they found out how old you were, you got sent to Rikers.
Yeah, but I got dismissed later on.
Okay, so you're 16 years old at Rikers.
Yeah.
How's that situation like?
Well, let me tell you the Rikers Island experience. I did 8 months there later on, not with this case. If you could do time in Rikers, you could do anywhere in the United States. I wouldn't say other country. Anywhere in the United States prison, yeah.
Okay. On the other side of the country, in San Francisco, there was a gang called the Watching.
Yes.
And they split into 2 groups, one of them called the Joe Boys.
Yes, correct.
And the Joe Boys started to get bigger and bigger until they took over the Watching.
Yes.
Now, you decided to actually go over there?
Yes.
And try to...
Yeah, help them out.
Help them out.
But I didn't know the situation was that bad with the Watching. When I landed there, and I told them, give me something, give me a piece. So they handed me a 22. I said, are you fucking kidding? New York, they started using Python, 357. Are you kidding me? You give me a 22 here? All right, but now I didn't know that the situation was that bad. I said, how many guys were we working with? You, me, and him, and what? 3 of us? And then we were going against, I'm not joking, 300 of them. And they're everywhere. Everywhere I go, they were there. So, at one time, I got shot at with 3 guys. But they're pulling 3 pistols out while we were charging the car. This guy named Terry. Terry and his girlfriend were sitting in the car in the front. It was Camaro. You know, Camaro back then was two-door, right? Two-door Camaro, a sport, a sport type car. So his battery died out, and it happened on Jackson Street, California. So now we got to charge his battery to move it out. And then while we were doing that, half of the car was sticking out on the sidewalk, and half was sticking out in between the gate. The mechanic place. Mechanic place is about the size of this, I would say. So you just couldn't imagine how big it is. So, he was charging, and then I'm the type of guy. I'm not gonna be a sitting duck. I'm gonna be in the back because I was sitting in the back seat. I'm not. Listen, I know what I'm here for. So it's not a peaceful place for me to sit. So I got out. And I was playing with the squeegee, the squeegee, right, with the window. And then I saw across the street, and a big street, that street, Jackson Street. I was got fingers, and all the car was moving except that car. Pointing finger here, they were talking to the other guy, the front seat, talking to the back seat, with both windows, a Monte Carlo. And then once they turned, they started moving the car. I knew what I got a feeling what they what they was up to. So I ran to I walked up to Terry. He's watching. He just came out from prison. And then I says, Terry, do you know anybody has on the other side had a Monte Carlo? No, Pete. I just came out of prison. I told you that. Oh shit. Okay. Now, I came back and doing cleaning the back window just to fuck around to clean so I could be my eye on alert and everything. Here it comes. Once they make that turn, they drop off three guys. They were. I could remember clearly what they was wearing. They were wearing those back then in the '70s. They were wearing the kung fu jacket with the white sleeve, turn around, on the arm, on the clip. So I saw three guns. They saw me, so they start firing at me before they even go into the where we were inside the mechanic place, right? But about half the car was sticking out the back. So I threw that stick, and then I ran to Terry. I said, get out of the car. I was yelling. I was really screaming, get out of the car. Unfortunately, the girl was sitting on the passenger side. I couldn't get out on time. So now the three guys, first thing I saw, I don't know, you remember they used to have the that thing that rides your car up, the hydraulic. Yeah, two hydraulic. They look like stainless steel, I said, shit, the first thing on my mind, man, that thing, a machine gun couldn't go through, right? So I ran in there. I was so skinny. I was hiding over there, right? Now, they were shooting, all that noise was coming, pop, 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 pop. Then I turned left. The guy would see me coming, looking at left. They shoot me this side. But three of them, that's the gun going that way. And some of them, I guess one of them was in the front. And this guy, because the Camaro had 3 bullet holes after I came out, I saw 3 bullet holes. And the window, the passenger side, the glass was shattered. It's got no more glass window. Well, I was trying to count the bullet. It was so fucking too much. I couldn't count it. I lost count. So I went till everything settled down. I came out. The girl was crying, screaming. I said, what's the matter? She stuck up her finger. She only, the middle finger was all torn up except attaching to the little piece of skin, right? All you got to do is yank it and then come right out. So I said, hold on to that thing. I told her, so I rip her skirt off, tie it up, and we send her to the hospital. Because back in the day, the Brady days in the 70s, the woman's guy, they all had the same fucking haircut, seemed like, right, long. So they probably thought she was a guy, I guess. I did guess. So she was covering her head with her hand. The whole head, she was screaming like this, like her head was down on the floor and screaming and sitting inside the passenger seat. While they shoot that thing, I guess the bullet ricocheted and spin off. But they torn her finger. So, and now that happened. After that happened, there's another incident. That's why I left California. Then Terry says, I said, Terry, let's go to one of those hunting stores. I know from what I understand, California is easy for you to buy a fucking rifle or a gun or something, right? Give me something more powerful. Now, before we even go to every aisle to look for once we walk open the door in the hunting store, like Modell, just say, right? And then, that's Joe Boy. They're there. They're everywhere. I said, shit, okay, now we can forget about that. All right, so now that day we forgot about that, and then wind up in the weekend, we just cruise around at Chinatown. Because that's the first time I ever been to California. I want to see it, right? So we got stuck. That is, when you go to certain places, like here, when traffic in Manhattan, you can't even move, right? So I said, listen, on the left hand, it's two-way street. I said, listen, I spotted, and Terry was driving. So I don't know my way around California. I said, Terry, look in the mirror. I said, don't move, right? Put it back on reverse. Don't put it on drive. Put it on reverse. When I tell you to step on it, don't even fucking move an inch because of the car was moving. We're trying to give ourselves more space. Let the car move up so we could spin out, or else we would be dead. I says, listen, if I tell you to press on the gas, you stump it as hard as you can, right? So I was keeping my eye on the right on the rear mirror on the right hand side. So right about the two guy left and right door on the passenger side swing off. I said, now press it, yanked them. They were shocked. They didn't know what happened. They thought somebody they had a big noise, boom. So then he make a quick turn, and then we straight over. I said, Terry, that's it. I got enough. This is enough for me within a fucking 2 weeks. I said, either you're going to come with me back to New York, everything's is good. Right? We don't have to worry about this shit, okay? Because a lot of his guy, the watching, was in New York. I was very good with they call him the last boss, Danny Wong, watching. He's the last boss that got whacked. So me and him was really good. So now, but eventually he wasn't there. He was in New York. So now, I says, either you come with me back to New York, everything's fine, but if you want to stay here, you're on your own. I'm going to leave your ass, stay here. It's got nothing to do with this. So no. I said, you think about it. I'm going to give you less than 6 hours. You got to tell me now. I'm not standing here no more. So I can't stand this shit. I'm so used to be the other way around, Terry. Now I'm getting sued everywhere I go. So he said, okay, I'll go with you. So now let me situate my girl in the hospital. It's okay, fine. So we left with 3 bullet holes in the fucking car, right? I haven't been even patched up yet. I didn't realize that was 45 until we went back to New York and patched it up. So while we was on our way back to the East Coast, he says, kid, let me stop by in Los Angeles so I could see one of his guys. What? Then I find out, I said, from what I understand, Los Angeles have Joe Guy there. They have, Joe brother has 6. The reason they went to a really, really big war after they split is they killed one of his brother in Jackson Street, the older brother, the Joe Fong guy, right? The older brother. But he has 5 more brothers behind him. They all hanged out. So one of them that handle Los Angeles chapter. Watching, there's another chapter in Los Angeles. They also in Los Angeles. Oh, I want to see this guy named Date or Tony. I forgot his last name now. So, but it's all with paper about him. So I'm going to go see him. I said, whoa. You go see him. I'm staying here in Sunset Boulevard, right? They have a Sunset Boulevard. While I was walking, I'm waiting on him. You're going to see one of this picture. I have really long hair with an act tough guy with a cigar, right? But actually, I took that picture. I saw a Japanese photograph, right? Professional photograph on Sunset Boulevard. I said, you know what? Let me just go in there, take this picture. And one day when I fucking get old, I'm going to get myself, looking at this picture, I will laugh because I got shot my ass out of fucking California. That's how I got this picture. That picture existed today. Still, it's in the book, yeah.
Okay, so you come back to New York.
Yeah.
And then in 1976, there was a situation with a guy named James Mooey.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he's a headache.
Right. He was walking through, I guess, your territory, and you guys stop him.
I stopped him at a Brooklyn Tech. In Brooklyn, the Brooklyn Tech, I think is a college or high school. I believe it's high school. Yeah. I wind up, I don't know how I wind up there, but I was over there and then hang out a little bit. And I wasn't that old yet. What was that?
You were like about 17.
Yeah. So I went to one of those schools. I happened that he walked by, but he looks like somebody that does hang out, but I'm not sure. So I pull him over. I said, who you with? And then he says, nobody. I said, nobody? Okay, fine. Okay, and it says, let me see your ID. So I took his idea, took down all the information, and then a couple of my guys roughed him up. That's it, and let him go. I said, let him go, let him go. He said, no why, so let him go. Next thing I knew, when that incident happened in Kolak restaurant, which I got charged with that case, a murder case, he was there. Well, it happened that he was there. That all he remember is the guy that, thought that I roughed him up a little bit, But yeah, you could say that, but it's my guy. So I asked him, when I stopped him, I asked him, who you are? He said, nobody. So I gave him back his license and left. But eventually he knew who I was, I guess. So he told the police. I gave him a false report that he saw me that did it.
Well, right, there was a shootout that happened.
Yeah.
And a bullet hit James Mooey in the leg.
Yeah.
A couple other flying dragons were injured, but then a stray bullet ends up going into an establishment and killing a 39-year-old woman named Victoria Kwa.
Correct.
And she dies.
Yes, correct.
So then when the police asked James Mooey who shot him, he said it was Kid Jai.
Exactly.
So now you get charged for homicide and attempted homicide.
Correct.
Back to Rikers.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I got charged with. That's how I wound up, like 8 months. During that time when I was in Rikers Island, and just there's no other witnesses but him that say it was me. That's, first of all, that he was incredible as a witness, and so they wouldn't give me a bail until like 8 months later. They gave me a bail. Came home. Within 2 weeks, another shooting happened. He was there again. He was on Pell Street. Some of our guys they said some of our guys was shooting at him, but he said that the shooter was me. Now, remember the first day he saw me, he never saw me more than once. So he always thought I had long hair. I did have long hair until I had a fight in during that 8 months. It seemed like if you average it out, it's like once a month. 8 fight in Rikers Island. So I had 8 fights in there. So by the time at the third fight, I said, fuck it. Let me shave off all my head. I have never shaved off my head in my life. I didn't never like all my hair out, Never. So he didn't notice that. He never seen me only once. I got long hair. The second time he got shot, they came and arrested me again. And then charged me with attempted murder of a witness. Now this time, really, I'm dead. So now, out of the blue, my lawyer had a good investigator, and to pinpoint where he got shot, where the guy, the person that you say had shot you at, the distance that they did on Pell Street. Pell Street is most deserted street and most dim street, very dim. I mean, there wasn't more than two lamp poles up there, maybe one. So it's hard to see at that time, like 10 o'clock at night. What really helped me was 2 sanitation workers were dumping garbage. The city sanitation testified that saying that during a hearing, I wasn't there, that gave the testimony of saying that guy we saw had no hair. No, got long hair.
Yeah.
While I came home, I had no hair.
Right.
Well, then how could I grow hair in 2 weeks? Like you say that long, right? It's impossible. So that really helped me beat all his case.
Yeah. I mean, how did it feel to beat a murder?
How I feel to be a murder?
To beat a murder, yeah.
Oh, to be a murder case? Well, don't you think I should?
No. I mean, I'm sure.
Yeah,
you were potentially facing life in prison, right?
Yeah. 25 to life. Yeah. It felt good. Yeah, it felt good. But,
okay. So while you're at Rikers Island, Nikki Louie, who was the head of the Ghost Shadows at the time, decided to do some things that basically made the situation worse. So there was a guy named Man Bun Lee, who was like the unofficial mayor of Chinatown, and he hated organized crime. So Nikki Louie hired a hitman to kill him, a guy named Chick Kwang Peng.
I don't know that guy. Seriously? Personally, I don't know him.
Okay, but you know the story, though.
Yeah. Because when I came home, they told me what happened.
Right. So the hitman approaches Man Bun Lee at a restaurant and then stabs him 5 times.
Yeah. I know the story, yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay. Now, this brought a lot of attention to the Ghost Shadows.
Oh, yeah.
Did everything change after that?
Completely upside down. Because personally, Nikki Louie, I got nothing against that Mamba Lee. I think he did it for a reason, because he just said, this guy talk too much. He just want to shut his mouth, talking about gangsters, talk something else, right? No, Nikki, he's still young, I guess. But to me, now that, for him to make that decision, it was a big mistake. It was a big, big mistake. Because, you asked me, did things change after that? Yes. They shut down all the gambling houses.
Right. All the gambling houses got shut down for a whole year.
1 year. Exactly 1 year. They wouldn't let us open for 1 year. You try to open one, here they go. They come in and crack you down again. Shut you down.
Okay. And around that time, a rift began to happen with the Ghost Shadows.
Yeah.
So there was like the street guys, Peter, Mongo, Applehead, Taiwan, Stinky Bug. They were on one side. And then there was Nikki's guys, Pork Chop, Roundhead, Spider. They were loyal to Nikki. So then there started to be kind of a rift in between.
But how it happened was that even though through the bad time, we wasn't with Nikki. We had no problem with it. Like until 78. Somewhere in 78. Yeah. So what happened was that whatever he say back then, we go along with. Until one day they held a meeting, right? And Mongo and I think Apple told me, I didn't know there was a meeting. Then I have an appointment with somebody, right? So I said, listen, I'll be back before the meeting's over with. I'm pretty sure, because it always happened that way. It won't take more than, an hour and a half, 2? The most is maybe an hour. I would say I would be back like 15, 20 minutes. So I didn't, all this thing happened during the meeting. I wasn't there, but they told me. Now, when I was driving back, coming down from Manhattan Bridge, Manhattan Bridge coming down with Chase Bank and right? So I was heading toward Holland Tunnel that side. So when I turned them out, right before I turned them out, I saw Apple, Mongo was by the corner of that street and waving at me, waving at my car. I stopped. I said, what happened? Oh, man, we just had to break off with Nikki. I said, what happened? Oh, that guy, during a meeting, a guy named Spider pulled a gun and pointed at Taiwan's temple. He said, you have no fucking right to look at no books.
Right, because Taiwan told Nikki he wanted to see the books.
Yeah.
Because the money was going down.
Yeah.
And instead of showing him the books, he had Spider pull out a gun and put a gun to his head.
Did he have Spider? I don't think so. I think Spider did it on his own.
Okay.
Yeah. See, but he took the blame for it. Yeah. I would say that. Yeah.
Okay.
They wasn't planned for that, like that with the gun things, like with Spider. I don't think so.
So at that point, you felt that Nikki was going to kill Taiwan, so you felt that you guys had to kill Nikki?
No, I felt like that. Did you see how Chinese feel is that? I felt that no matter how bad it is, the situation, how worse it is, the best way is to talk it out. The worst way is to fucking, one-on-one, you guys will go in the corner and kill yourself, but not pulling a gun to somebody's temple. Like that means I want you, I want your head, I want you dead. So that came to a point that there's nothing to talk about.
Right, but wasn't there a shootout that happened?
No, it didn't happen yet.
Okay, cool. Because in the book it said that the two crews had a brief shootout until Nikki suggested that he and Peter talk it over.
Okay, so after that, then we had a shootout. Then I talked with Nikki. Wanted to talk to me. Yep, that's correct. Now that was not before this. This happened. They're on the street. I said, okay. Now we split. So where's the gun? Everybody know where. That side knew where the gun is in. And we knew where the gun's in. So let's go get all the guns first before they get it, right? So we got the gun. They just got 2 guns. They gave me a fucking 22 again. They took all the guns. This is all we could find, right? I said, okay, give me the gun. So I took the gun, and they gave me another fucking, I'm not sure it's a Dillinger or not. So I gave it to one of my guys. Said, okay, you keep this gun. You see me shoot again, you shoot, okay? The same way. So now, they was looking for him everywhere in the restaurant, Bay up and down Mart, see where they at. They said they here somewhere because they just came down right after us, right? So where are they now? They trying to spot them. As soon as they spot them, they call me. So now Apple was running down Bay Street, like, hey, he's there. So why he peeked in the window, Apple, saw Nikki and the whole crew was in there. But at the same time, they spotted him, right? And as soon as they saw him and Mongo and them were running down Bayard and trying to get my attention. So got my attention. By the time I came across the street, Nikki and their crew was running out the other way. Yeah, like running out. When he came out, he was going on the right hand of him. So I was like half a block from them. What I'm going to do? I can't catch up with them. So I just fire any shot I could fire at them over there, emptied out. Now, all my guys was split up. We said this earlier. If we ever get split up for no matter whatever reason, we go back to the old days where we hang out in the arcade in 42nd Street. That's where we're going to meet up. So they all met up there except me and one of my guys. While I was running back down from Bayard, I couldn't think of a place I could go with this fucking piece. So I ran down to the gambling house. So I went there, I took the guy the door guy that, he looked through the peephole and who should be let in and who's not. I just remove him, put my guy. I said, I forget, you're going to watch this door and see who could come in and not come in. So I removed that guy. Now, at the same time, I heard a lot about tunnels, right? You heard about down in the old days, Chinatown basement had a lot of tunnels. Now, I try to look for exit door, back door. There was nothing. There was only one door that up and down was going up and down from the same door I came in. And so I said, oh, fuck, man, we're stuck. Within that time, within 5 minutes, Nikki called. Nikki called downstairs the gambling house. She said she wanted to talk to me. And the guy who picked up the phone came and gave me that message. That I went on the phone, realized that was Nikki. I said, Nikki, listen, there's nothing to talk about no more. I said, why you want to talk to me? I didn't understand why you wanted to. This B wasn't with me. I was still the youngest with them, If you say, this jewel or this crown, pass it down to who? I might be the 6th guy, right, to receive this crown. Why talk to me? I said, I was thinking about why talk. And then I said, no, I hung up on him. That's it. At the same time, I was thinking, how the fuck I'm going to get out of this jam now? I'm stuck. Then he called the second time. A light bulb came on here and says, oh, okay, now you can come down. Yeah. I thought so you could come down. So I was thinking about using him as a shelf to go back up. So that's why I did it anyway later on. So he came down and talked to me for 45 minutes. And he says, tell me to side with him, to go on his side. I said, Nikki, it's not me you had to talk to. It's Taiwan you had to talk to, not me. I says, I could be any size. The way you put it, I could be here, I could be there. But no, I don't want to see ourselves fighting against each other. Our brother, for what? For not, I don't understand. So I said, no, and then the last word out of him was, you think about it. 45 minutes, I could not give him a yes or no answer to side with him. So I said, okay, Nikki, excuse me. I said, I'm sorry I got to do this, but I got to do this. So you got to take me out of here, right? And if any of your men approach, I'm going to start to shoot. Nikki knew my personality. He knew I meant business. I meant what I said. So before he came down, I said, Nikki, don't try nothing tricky, okay? So no, Nikki's like a very tricky guy. So he spin around and lift off his shirt and told me that he's not armed. I said, let him in. He's armed and no arm anyway. But he didn't think that I ran out of bullet. We don't have no more bullet. So I was just buffering him. But anyway, when we walked up, damn sure what I say, his man was moving forward. Like trying to surround the basement as a whole, right? So I said, tell your man right now to back off. And he told him, he says, back out. He said, move back. He's not going to do nothing to me. Just move back, right? Okay. Then he walked me out a little bit. I said, walk me a little bit further to where, by Elizabeth Street, where the foot freezing at, right? Up the block. And okay, so we split. From there on, we never actually sit down and talk no more.
Well, then on August 29th, 1978, Nikki was gambling by himself, and Stinky Bug saw him. So they decided, with another guy named Potato, to actually go and kill him. So when they approached him, one of the guys gambling saw the hitman and caused him to move a little bit. So when they shot at him, he got hit the side of his face and 3 bullets in his back.
You know what? Because he wound up in the same cell with me, right? Same cell when I was at MCC on this case. For a certain period of time, he was actually the same cell. When I was sitting on the bunk bed and he was sitting in a chair, there's a desk there right, in the cell. I said, Nikki, what? I forgot about this. Right? I said, Nikki, what's that dot over there? How come you got a birthmark something over here? He said, I only saw one side because I was looking at him sitting over there. No, Pete, kid, this side too. You did it. Yo, man, everything was over, you know what I'm saying? I mean, we could talk, we could laugh, but I didn't notice that. That's what Potato told me. I didn't believe him. You want the real story of the incident came down? That day when Nikki was playing mahjong, right, gambling in the basement. When you walk down, the first thing you see is 2 barber chairs, the old school barber chair with the thing that, you know, the leather shit with the thing. So you could sharpen the blade. And inside a little section, there's maybe like 2 or 3 the most mahjong table. Like a mahjong table usually play with 4 people, right? Or against opposite sides, right? 4 people on the table. So we know what he was down there for. He's not down there to take a haircut. He's down there. So Stinky Buck spotted him. I just came out on the street. He said, kid, call me over. He says, hey, Nikki just walked down there. Immediately, I knew, okay, all right, I know what to do with it. So, okay, I'm gonna go get a piece. So I was walking up to where we stash our gun. But when I was walking, I saw Potato coming this way, right? Potato is a very, a new guy with this crew. And he don't have 2 words to say of nothing, you know? He's a very, very quiet guy. So, so the first thing said, thinking was, see, Potato, right? And so I post Potato. I told him, Potato. Now, I'm going to tell you this. If you can't do it, just tell me right now you can't do it. It's fine. Because I had my mind, I was going to go on my way to get the gun. I'm going to do it myself, right? So I said, we're going to test this kid, right? So see, you know, where he's at. So but I explained everything to her. I said, Potato, if you scared or you don't have the ball to do it, I understand. You know, I'm not going to hold any grudge against you. You got to tell me now. This cannot be done other way. I said, if this mess up, it's going to cause a lot of problem. It probably, to me, maybe it's going to go to a bigger war. We could end it here. So I said, I knew that spot where Nikki was very familiar. On top of the restaurant, on back of the kitchen, there's a door walking down to where Nikki's sitting at. And it's a sliding wooden door, got no locks, no nothing. Only the front door at the barbershop got a lock where you entrance from Mott Street. So I said, all you have to do, go down there and slide that door, and with his back, it may be the most is 5 inches from you. He said, and once you slide, that's how close it is. I said, the first shot has to be in the head, and just make sure everything's done right? So he told me, after that thing, when he did, when this thing happened, I said, shit. People told me that this old Nikki ran out from the whatchamacallit, from the barbershop. Then he came back to me and gave me back the gun and everything, and hey, it's a Potato. It's impossible, almost. So I believe him, but I don't believe him. In other words, how could it be? Until, you know, I saw Nikki, and later on in years, I said, this kid told me everything the truth. And I felt bad, you know, when I didn't believe him 100% like the way I suppose.
Well, Nikki became a cooperating witness against the Ghost Shadows.
Yes.
And Potato got arrested and got 5 to 15 years for attempted murder.
Yes, correct.
Okay. So now you have, you know, a Ghost Shadow leader who's now cooperating.
Yes.
So that's it in terms of his role in the Ghost Shadows.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a leader of the Ghost Shadow, you can't have 1 feet this way and the other feet on that way. Right?
Okay. So after the Ghost Shadow split up and Nikki try to have his own crew, you guys decided to have 5 generals running the Ghost Shadows. No?
Oh, yeah. Because when we was under Nikki, it was all 5 of us, right? Actually, do the major decision of what we're going to do with this, that. And when we split up with Nikki, we don't want to run like how communists run, like in Russia, right? One guy called a shot, that's it. There's no number 2. You can't tell me. Now, instead of that, we do vote. 5 of us take the vote. Like a more democratic way, yeah.
Right. But then Mongo and Applehead, they get convicted for an extortion case in Baltimore.
Yeah,
they
right.
get 16 years.
Right.
Taiwan was also part of this case. He goes on the run.
Correct.
So then you and Stinky Bug are the only 2 guys left.
Right.
So then they ended up having a vote, and they decided that you're the leader.
Right.
Okay, so now you're officially the leader of the Ghost Shadows.
Right.
And you're 20 at the time?
Yeah. 20.
Okay, what changed when you became the leader?
What changed is that I changed a lot of things around because of we used to have war with now basically the black eagle and white eagle doesn't exist no more. There's no more harm with us. So I left out with the flying dragon, and then later on with Stinky Bug where he split away from me.
Yeah, so Stinky Bug ended up splitting.
Yeah.
But you told him that's fine as long as he didn't form another group.
Yeah.
But then he ended up forming the White Tigers.
Yes, he's the founding father of the White, not Nicky Louie. Everybody got this wrong. Because I was there, I was present. White Tiger wasn't exist yet, never even heard of that name until that night, that like you say, they did the vote and they want me, and then they want him as a treasure, right? And then vote him as a treasure. That he got up out of the meeting and then he said, no, I don't want nothing to do with it. I think he felt that, shit, he lost space or anything like that. I don't know. But that night, I pulled him on the side. We stopped the meeting. I pulled him on the side. Man, the last thing I didn't do was put my knee down to beg him not to do that. I said, this is how we do. I try to buy time, see how I'm going to fix this. So if they chose him, it's fine with me. I got nothing to do because he deserved it. I told him. I said, thinking, this is how we do. I says, what they tell me to do without your consent, without your authorization, I will not do it. You tell me exactly what you want to do, and things happen later on does not come out the way you said. You could blame everything on me. You could do anything to me. Fine, but I just tried to buy time. I couldn't get him to say no. Yes. So I went, no. He said, I don't want to. Okay, thinking about. I'm gonna tell you this. Me. You know how I grew up. I grew up basically with you guys. You saw me how I grew up. I give you my word, I'm not going to. Don't worry about any bullet flying behind your back. I will never do that, or my people will never do that. If they do, I'll take the weight for it, okay? Now, I says, listen, also at the same time, in return, I don't want you to form another group out there and turn your barrel against me. But he never told me yes or no, answer me. But he walked down the steps.
Well, right. And then a war broke out between the White Tigers and the Ghost Shadows.
Yeah.
A situation happened where a shooting happened.
Yeah.
And then the Ghost Shadows ended up killing 2 men they thought were White Tigers.
Yeah.
But I guess weren't.
That they weren't. According to now, is it or not? I don't know, but I assume that what they say probably is not. Yeah. Probably is not, yeah. Now, at this particular time you're talking about, I was at war with them now. Okay, I gave you chances after chances. You fired 3 times already. I'm gonna send my men out now. That's it. All war. So that's how I am. I always give people a chance. All right, you shoot me first time, I'll let you go. The second time, you better get prepared. I'm coming after you.
Okay, so around this time, there's a guy named Peter Wong. He opened a gambling house in Chinatown because you guys had to shut down all yours.
Yeah.
And you and him had a partnership.
Not really a partnership. Like I helped him out. Yeah, I helped him out. See, a lot of things that I did when in my younger day wasn't even about money. I never asked for money. Never did it for like the movie star. I got him out of trouble. Nobody gave me nothing. I didn't want nothing. I just did it. Just do it. That's it. To help a guy a favor.
Okay, but then Peter Wong ended up having this fake shark fin robbery situation. At the time, shark fin was massively expensive. It was like 15 times the price of lobster.
It's like gold, yeah.
So I guess there was like a fake robbery that he put together.
Yeah.
But then it was found out that the whole thing was a scam. So Uncle Benny ended up putting a hit on Peter Wong.
Did Uncle Benny have something to do with it? I would say he wouldn't object to it, or he wouldn't, he didn't stop it. He knew. He has to know. He has to know because the guy is from his thing. The seller was from his thing. Yeah, that's the one. The guy got robbed. The seller.
But then on February 13th, 1980, Peter Wong was leaving his nightclub when a cab pulled up and shot him in the face.
Yeah.
Killed him.
Yeah.
And I guess at the time, there weren't a lot of gangs in Chinatown that had cab licenses except for the Flying Dragons.
Flying Dragon and the Black Eagle, yeah.
Right. But ultimately, the case never got solved.
Not that to my knowledge, I don't know really that they ever got solved.
Right. So, once again, there's just more war and drama happening in Chinatown.
Oh, yeah. It seemed like every day something happened. Every other day, I guess.
Okay. So, at one point, you actually buy a nightclub in Manhattan.
Correct.
Called the Golden Taipei.
Yeah.
For $50,000.
Yeah.
Was that your first nightclub that you owned?
Yeah.
Okay. What was it like to run the nightclub?
Well, I bought it. Wasn't for anything else. But basically, it made a lot of money. But I actually never really pocketed from that money in my pocket. I took care of my friend or my guy. They split it. But anyway, what happened was when I actually bought that club was there's so many people that come from all different places like Toronto, Hong Kong, San Francisco. All the major guys come. We go out, eat dinner, right? Well, usually when they come, I pick up the check. When I go over there, they do the same thing as well. So I pick up the check. After that, what? They go to massage, and then after that, they go to the nightclub, right? They go drinking. I said, every fucking time I thought about it, okay, I got to pay $4,000 to $6,000 fucking check. So I said, fuck it, man, I might as well buy this nightclub. That's how I bought it, yeah.
Okay, and was that around the time that you met a guy named Nick, who was part of the Genovese Mafia?
Oh, yeah.
Right. So Nick had a 3% VIG on the money that he was putting on the streets.
Right.
But you had a 10% VIG.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So basically, he gave you $1 million to invest, and you turned it into $10 million.
Yeah, 6. We turned it into 6.
6?
Yeah, 6 million. Yeah, that's cool.
Well, $6 million for Nick and $4 million for you.
No. We split it, 6.
Oh, you had 6?
Yeah,
so 3 and 3.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you have $3 million.
Yeah.
What changed after you got that money?
No, I mean, we didn't have a whole lump sum to split it. I gave him his whole lump sum, but I was doing it. I was using it for something else. I never saved my money for one stash like that. No, one whole lump sum.
Okay, but then more problems started, and at one point, Taiwan felt the stinky bug needed to be killed.
Yes.
What was that over?
Okay, he already formed the White Tiger, right? And Taiwan was on the run, remember? He was on the run with the Baltimore case. And during that time, Mango and Apple was still inside during that time. So I came to Taiwan. I said, listen, I think your case could work it out. Let me see if I can get you out of this jam, right? I said, maybe at least come back on the street. So I went to see the lawyer. And then the lawyer says, okay. Within a week, he came back and told me, he said, yeah. The lawyer says the prosecutor agreed that they going to agree to the $5,000 bail, but he had to to go back to court, right? To attend the court date, whenever. So I went back and gave him this message, because those days, every week, I go see him. His cut, even those two were sitting behind bar, I got to go see their family and give them their cut evenly. So we're not running the same, what Nikki did, right? So like we say, we split everything. Anything that we split, profit or everything, loss, profit or whatever you say. So we split it. So I see Taiwan every week. I see their family every week. So I don't like to hold on to this stuff. So I see them every week. I give the cut, and then, so 1 week when I saw Taiwan, I said, yeah, it could be done. I said, you go and surrender with this lawyer, and he's going to make arrangement for you with the prosecutor. Everything's done, or they agree to the $5,000 bail, and then so this date, next week, you got to go there. And then the last thing I know, he says, make sure you have that money for me to bail me out that day, right? And then don't let me jammed up and go to Rikers Island and bail me from there, because it's a long process trying to bail somebody out from Rikers Island. I said, yeah, don't worry about it. I have somebody wait before that time. So which got him out within 2 weeks, and nobody knew that he came home. Like, came back on the street, nobody knew, because he's always come out during the nighttime, real late, and then maybe within an hour or two, he left. You don't see him no more. So basically, people just knew that I was the only one on the street. So it happened one day within that 2 weeks that he was bailed out. He saw a stinky bug in the restaurant, and then he sent a guy after him, and that didn't work. And what happened?
Taiwan tried to get Stinky Bug killed. It didn't work.
Yeah.
They assumed that you were behind it.
Yeah, that's...
The next day, the White Tiger sent a guy named Irving Wu to kill you.
Yes, correct.
Tell me what happens.
During that night, but an early incident before that, about a week before that, I seen this guy. Well, that day it was raining, and then I drove down to Mott Street, and I had a guy who was waiting for me, and then I had to run up the apartment, our safe place, and then I bumped into one of our guys, and I asked him, I said, who's that guy downstairs that I never see? That's Irving, actually. Eventually, that's Irving. So this face I never seen before. He looks funny, like I felt something about him. And he said he was wearing a trench coat and a raincoat and a hat. And I think that day he wanted to do something to me, but it wasn't the time, I guess. So now I don't know what happened, but eventually that's just the guy who shot me. And then what happened was that when I came down, he wasn't there. That was early, that's a little bit earlier, a week earlier. Then the second time I saw him, and when I came down, most of the time when I came down Mott Street, it's basically 9 in the morning. It's in the afternoon, like 2 or 3. That's when I saw him too, about 3 o'clock. And this guy's acting very strange. But he was a far distance away from me, and I could spotted him. He had an army jacket coat on. It was it was on April, because that's when I got shot on April. Yeah. So he had an army jacket on. I said, it doesn't look right. The weather, so warm. Why would he wear a fucking army jacket? I was thinking, oh, fuck, man. Maybe one of those idiots, who cares? So now I went into the restaurant, Big Wong. It was well known for noodle. It's a noodle shop. They were one of the best. So I went inside, and a bunch of our guys were sitting on a round table, with 10, 12 of them. I sat with them and boasted a little bit, and took the bill and paid, and then my beeper. Those days we didn't have no cell phone. So I had a beeper, and then I got to return the call. So when I step out of the restaurant, there's about, right in front of the restaurant, there's 3 Chinese pagoda, a telephone booth. So they one against each other, they're all together. So when I make that phone call, soon as I hang up the payphone, and I probably walk about 5 steps, and Irving came out. But I didn't know it was Irving then. So when he stuck, literally, he stuck the gun. I could touch the gun, and then right at that moment, I'm a very quick guy, very fast acting. So I tilted. I didn't even see him yet. That thing went off. Boom. I got pushed back. I pushed me a little bit while I was pushed forward. Pushed forward a little bit. Then I was a little bit bent, pushing that way, and my head was down. And he added another bullet to my back. The one in the back actually hurt me more than the one to my neck, right? Apparently, the doctor said after I went through the surgery, intensive care, told me a fraction here, I would be dead, a fraction here, I would be dead. But at that time, I thought I got shot by the temple. It came throughout my temple because the blood was hot. I told you that day was warm too. So that kid was wearing that army jacket. I skeptical. What? How come he would wear an army jacket? That got my attention. But I didn't know he was right next door where those housings at. They got stairs going up, apartments. He was hiding inside that building, so he could see me by looking out from in the hallway that certain distance that he could see me on the telephone booth. So that's when I hung up the phone. He came out from there, and the first shot he did was to my head. So he thought I was dead. So that took care of me. This is an add-on. But wind up this add-on, broke like 2 ribs and punctured my lung. I couldn't even breathe. So now this kid, so he went that way. Now I was pushed forward and I was holding my temple. I thought the hole came out my temple. I was so stupid, right? By the time if it hit my temple, I would be dead right there and then. But the blood was squirting out. It was hot blood. So I went to the police precinct. I didn't run because I got the concept of running, like exercise, will actually make your blood like increase faster, like pump faster. It will come out more. So I was like walking quickly to the fifth precinct. It's around the corner. Then I got them two detectives. As soon as I walked in, they grabbed me. They already knew who I am. They grabbed a wooden chair, just sat in the lobby, and set me there. One guy went to the back and got like a stack of black books, right? And kept flipping the bed. Is that the guy who shot you? I said, no. Do you know him? I said, I don't know him. No. Then it was a big puddle of blood around me. Then one of the sergeants came in, walking in the prison. He said, you fucking idiot, you two guys, you better get him to the hospital right now before he's dead, and then you got nobody to talk to, right? So they took me to the police car and then drove me to Beekman, right? While they was driving me to Beekman, I said, oh shit. I was conscious, I was still conscious, but I was losing breath. I couldn't hardly breathe. I look at I was thinking about where they're gonna take me to Beekman. Oh man. This hotel is like a most check-in. You check in, you cannot check out. A lot of people die over there. A lot of our guys die in Beekman, not St. John or St. Vincent. Where the same spot where they took 2 bodies out, one goes to St. Vincent and one goes to Beekman. The one Beekman died, I don't care when he shot in the arm, he's dead. Right? The one shot in the brain, he's still alive. And that's how it is. So I said, when I was, they told me to St. Vincent, that really hit me that, oh man. So now, by the time they throw me in the stretcher, and all the nerves, everything, they would start cutting my pan with a razor blade and everything. So the tube was sticking in everywhere. They're giving me shots. The last thing I said, let me see what time I'm going to be dead. I want to know. Thinking about what I was thinking, all my people go over there, 80% doesn't survive. So I said, oh man, let me just see it. What time I died. So I went searching for the clock. My head was this way, up and down on the stretcher. And I finally spotted the clock was, 4:45. I said, okay. Then I completely knocked out.
Right, but then 3 days later, you woke up.
Yeah.
And you spent 10 days in the hospital.
Yeah, correct.
And eventually you got out.
Yeah.
Okay, and then after that, you end up going back to Hong Kong.
Yeah, I travel a lot, yes, correct.
Okay. Was it because of the danger in New York of getting shot again?
I was recuperating.
Okay.
And actually, Taiwan was making his move. So I let him making his move, let him do what he wants to do. Yeah.
Okay, so you basically go to Hong Kong, you start meeting up with the triad leaders.
Yeah,
and the
correct.
triad and the movie industry was kind of mixed together out there. Some of the triad leaders were actually movie stars, and you kind of started getting into the movie business at that point.
Yeah, let's put it this way. If you are a movie star or a singer in Hong Kong, if you wasn't related to any connection with triad, you cannot stand. There's no way you could survive in Hong Kong back in the days, yes. There had to be somebody, woman too. Woman or men, doesn't matter.
Okay, so then by 1982, Uncle Benny lost his last appeal over a bribery case, and then he got sentenced to 6 years in prison. And a guy named Eddie Chan stepped in and took over. And he was a former Hong Kong police sergeant.
Right.
With ties to the triad.
In Hong Kong, yeah.
He was known as the Sixth Dragon?
Yes.
Okay. And he basically became the most powerful Tong in New York.
Oh, yeah.
Were you dealing with him at all or no?
I had one dealing with him. Yeah, I had one. Yeah.
Okay. By then, by the 1980s, heroin started to blow up.
Yes.
But along with heroin, there was the videotape business.
Correct.
And you said that it was actually just as profitable as heroin.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So you guys started doing basically illegal videotape distribution?
yeah.
Okay. And how did that ultimately work out?
So actually, Vincent Jew, the boss of the founder of Watching from San Francisco, he monopolized of that videotape. So when he started to open, he had it first at San Francisco. So this is the very, very beginning of videotape, where they start to, closing down theaters because of videotape, right? So he had this franchise from Hong Kong, and then he started opening in the East Coast. So by then, the founder of the White Tiger, Stinky Buck, you gotta remember, he was with us back then when we fought all the way to Mott. So by then we got along. He understand and everything. He knew. So we straightened out our differences and everything. So we wasn't at war no more with the White Tiger, and then.
But you and Stinky Bug became friends again, even though he tried to kill you.
Yes, and you know what? You talk about Irving. Remember?
Yeah.
If I didn't forgive him, he wouldn't be dead today. Because after he shot me, he left the state. Stinky Buck came and talked to me. We were sitting on Grand Hyatt when they first opened, 42nd Street, the hotel, the lobby of they have coffee shop. I don't know if they still have it or not. On the lobby, they got a big section of coffee shop. We sat there and talked, and the last thing he said, "Kid, could you forget Irving, the guy that, shot you?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Why? What happened? Why he need me to forgive him?" He says, he won't come back to the state unless he got you okay. He said, everything's okay.
Because he was worried about revenge.
He was worried about it. Yeah, correct, yeah. So he never stepped back into the state until I said, okay, if you have him in front of me and apologized to me and told me that with his mouth saying that he's sorry, I will forgive him. Then he said, okay.
So you met up with the guy who shot you, and he apologized to you.
Yeah, I shook hands with him that day. When I walked in, he wanted to give me a cup of tea. His boss poured him a cup of tea. Say sorry with this cup of tea. The tea and the bottom of the tea, where you have a glass cup, to hold the drips. It was actually clinking. Like he was he was nervous. I hold his hand and say, "It's a kid. Don't worry about it. I'm here. You have nothing to worry about if I tell you to come here." So he calmed down a little bit, and then he said sorry. I said, "Okay, you good?" And then by saying that, 3 months later, he's the first guy got shot in Golden Star. That night was 3 killed, 11 or 8 injured with the Flying Dragon. Yeah, he was there. He was on the payphone. He was the first guy who got shot. I don't know how many bullets, 6, 7, or quite few. But now, when he died, I said to myself, if I wouldn't forgive him, would he be there that night? Who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah.
Well, around this time, Pablo Escobar controlled the cocaine market from Colombia.
Uh-huh.
But then in Hong Kong, there was a guy named Limpy Ho.
Oh, yeah.
Who was basically the Pablo Escobar of heroin.
Yeah, he's a big time.
And he controlled the whole world market of heroin from Hong Kong. And they actually asked you to go into business with him.
Well, he was dead. His people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His capos.
Yeah.
Okay. So they wanted to give you 200 pounds of heroin?
They actually says, we only have 500 pounds in here. You don't have to worry how it comes in. But if you help me to distribute them, right? Get rid of them, all we want is 250 pounds of the worth of goods, and you keep the other 250. Yes. I turned him down. I said no.
Why?
That's not what we're into. That's not, when they were into this after I left, that's when Marvin Cheese and all those guys, Wing, the Chan family, they was into that. Yeah, we wasn't into drugs and stuff like that. No.
Okay, so you turn down that offer, and then you find out that someone in the Ghost Shadows was actually an informant.
Yes.
And the only thing you knew that his last name was Wong.
Yes.
But there were 5 people in the Ghost Shadows named Wong.
Yeah, 5 people named Wong, the last name.
Okay. There was a situation where a group of Ghost Shadows raped and killed a 21-year-old white woman named Rita Nixon.
Right.
And I guess the informant cooperated on this case?
Yes. Yes.
And that's how you find out who the informant was?
I didn't find out then. But I knew there was one that working with the government as an informant. So, and the guy who told me about it, but I was thinking about we have 5 Wong. So I tried to eliminate who's the most likely the one and who's not. Yeah. But wasn't then, yeah.
You eventually found out as a guy named Raymond Wong.
Later on, yeah.
Right. And he was working with the state prosecutor, Nancy Ryan.
Correct, yeah.
That ultimately was the one that went after you.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So then there was a situation where Applehead and you saw Nikki Louie driving and you shot at him.
Yeah, correct.
What was the situation about?
Okay, one of my guys just bought a Lincoln Mark IV, right? So it was pretty nice. I said, wow. Once he drove down to my street, I said, yo, where you get this car? I never seen him with this car before. Oh, I just bought it. His name is Paul Wong, Fu Man, a.k.a. Fu Man. So I said, Fu Man, let me test this car. So he gave me the key. So I went, by the time I was driving to the second block at the end of Mott Street, that's where Mott and Paco, a Chatham Square. And Apple had bumped into it. He stopped waving at me, told me to stop. I said, what? Wow, man, this car is nice, man. Let me drive it, right? I said, that's not my car, I'm testing. Okay, let me test that. So he jumped into the car. That day was like snowing a little bit. So it had a moon roof. So, yeah, so he was cruising. By the second block, when he made the right turn on Chatham Square, going toward where the 100 Center Street is, right, where the courthouse at, where he made the turn. I said, behind that looks like Nikki. I said, see if it's Nikki. I said, we spotted him. And then I said, listen, he was by himself. I said, wow, I was packed. I always carry. So, now, at this piece, I told Apple, try as close as to him. By the time we got to him, it's almost like 100 Center Street, where the courthouse is, in front of the court. But it was like at night, like 8 o'clock. So instead of rolling around, roll down the window, I like this moon move. So I got down the moon move, and I said, get close to him, I'm going to shoot him down from the moon move, right? So when he got close, then he got so excited, and then he started making left turn. So I pumped all the bullet. It wasn't close enough, so I pumped all the bullet. But he shot. I could say Nikki was shot because once he saw that thing, the gun, and he was stuck down and pressed on his gas pedal. But that day was snowing. Yeah, like I said, I'm a lousy shooter. I always miss them.
Well, later on in court documents, Nikki Louie had a plea agreement, and it said that Taiwan, Nikki himself, and Spare Rib were actually planning to kill you because they felt that you would soon go after them.
Uh-huh.
So these guys you were close to actually tried to kill you as well.
They tried to kill me, but I had no intention of killing them. I had no intention of going to war with them. Inside them, they think that I'm after them. But no, I'm not after nobody. If I want to go after Taiwan, Taiwan would have been dead right now. The day that he took over, he would have been dead. Those are all my people on the street. As a matter of fact, when I was laying on the bed at Beekman Hospital, 2 guys came up and told me, you gave him an okay to whack Taiwan. I said, no, you can't do that. I said, if I know he's dead, you're responsible. I'm coming after you. They didn't do it.
Well, then there was a situation, the shooting at the Golden Star Bar.
Yeah.
It involved a guy named Herbert Liu, who's a former Hong Kong police officer that came to New York.
Yeah.
And he was a street guy, but also a successful business person.
Correct.
And you feel that Uncle Benny put a hit out on Herbert and gave it to his godson, a guy named the Scientist, who's the head of the Flying Dragons.
Yes.
So what happened in this situation?
Okay. This one, how I knew is that it's by my information, right? When this thing was like heated up with Herbert and Uncle Benny, there was Herbert is actually the hip sing with Uncle Benny. He joined the hip sing. For some reason, some kind of a new way of doing business and the old way of doing business, they split up. So he went to East Broadway and created a group, right? Herbert. So arriving against, there's always word back and forth, like talking bad against each other, back and forth. The words come back to me. So it heated up so much that when this thing happened, I never heard of anybody besides Uncle Benny have grudges with Herbert Liu. So that night when that shooting happened, and then the next morning, I got a call from Stinky Buck. Now he would like I say, if I didn't forgive that the guy, the kid named Irving, he wouldn't be killed on the spot.
Well, right, because 3 masked men walked into the Golden Star on December 23rd, 1982, and fired into the crowd, killing 3 people and injuring 8.
Yes.
There's a 13-year-old kid named Stephen Chan that got killed, Michael's son, and then Irving Wu got killed that day as well. And this became a national incident.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So basically law enforcement started coming down on everybody
FBI was there the next day, yeah.
Right, and then Uncle Benny wanted to actually kill his godson, the Scientist, because the Scientist was going around saying, Godfather, no Godfather, I make the calls.
Uh-huh.
So then on March 13th, the Scientist's bodyguard was killed, and then 6 hours later, the Scientist got killed.
Right, correct.
Who killed him?
Their own people killed him.
Their own people killed him.
Yeah.
Right, because they found the Scientist dead, tied to a chair with 5 bullet holes in his eye. Yes. At the Hip Sing Credit Union.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the hitmen, a guy named Fun Bill, he got away for over 10 years and then went to L.A., but ultimately was found.
He was my classmate, yeah.
He was your classmate?
Yeah.
Right. Because I guess they tried to kill the actual assassins also. Uncle Benny tried to kill them to try to separate himself from the situation.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, so this is just a whole mess. And because of this final incident, Nancy Ryan and what she called the Jade Squad started building a RICO case against you guys.
Did they start it then? Or I think they already started.
Yeah, it was already going, but this was sort of like the cherry on top.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, and this is the very first time that a RICO was brought against an Asian organized crime group.
Yeah, right.
And around this time, this is when Rudy Giuliani was doing the whole Mafia, organized bust and everything else like that. So now you were the target for the biggest FBI raid on Chinatown organized crime ever.
Yes, that time, yeah.
And Uncle Benny told you that indictment was coming.
Yes, 3 months earlier, yeah.
Did you believe him?
Yes, I believe him because I already knew it was coming. Other sources told me that it was coming, yeah.
Well, then early morning on Sunday, February 17th, 1985, the largest Asian racketeering mass arrest in U.S. history. 25 members of the Ghost Shadows were indicted, all of them with RICO charges.
Uh-huh.
And Rudy Giuliani actually led this whole situation.
Yes, yes.
30 FBI agents showed up to arrest you.
Yes, yes.
Did you think that it was over when this happened?
Well, yeah, I knew it was over, yeah.
You were facing 600 years.
That's what they told me, but that's not. Yeah, when they grabbed me, they took me to the headquarters of the FBI in Manhattan. I think that's on the 17th floor or something, or 7th, I think 17 more or less. Yeah, they put me in the room. They told me they want me to cooperate with them. I says, I I won't. I never do such thing like that. And then, okay, all right. Then he says, you tough guy? Okay, you're facing 600 years. So 600, I never even heard a number like this, you know what I'm saying? Oh, it's 10 to 15 to life or something like that. Okay, but when you come up, I was thinking about, I didn't ask him, I was thinking about, when you come up with this fucking 600 number, now I start to think, shit, that means I got to do 100 years, 200 years. If I live 600 years, I got to come back to do 6 life sentences. If I live that long. So he got mad. He thought I was fucking making like a joke or fun of him. Yeah. 600, how the fuck I do 600? If I could live 100 years, I could do 1 sentence.
Yeah.
Right? I was thinking like that. So, okay, you fucking wise guy. He slammed the door and just walked out.
Okay, so you get locked up at MCC. And originally you were cellmates with Guy Fisher, who was one of the kingpins.
Oh, yeah, early days. Yeah.
Worked, he was Nikki Barnes' right-hand man. He's out now, by the way.
I heard, yeah. I'm happy for him. Yeah.
I'm trying to interview him. I'm trying to get an interview with him, but... I think he's holding out.
Yeah.
But then later on, you became cellmates with Nikki Louie.
Who? Me?
You.
Yeah. Me.
Your arch enemy. Yeah, he was fighting his own RICO case at the time.
Because at that time, we all in the same case, right? So we all got to go to the attorney room to see what kind of strategy we're going to use to. If we go to trial, what kind of the lawyer strategy they get ready to use? They got to like it had to be concerted, like not this one wants to fight this way. So we have a leading lawyer out of the 20 lawyer. So that's why they gave us a day every week that we could go to the attorney room and discuss our case. And most of the time we could go down there and fuck around. That's it. Yeah.
Well, how do you become friends with someone who tried to kill you multiple times? And you try to kill as well.
Well, if we hold grudges like that, I could forgive and forget, yeah, except my father, even till today, yeah.
Well, at one point, you guys actually managed to get a blowtorch into the jail and try to plan an escape where you tie together a bunch of bed sheets and actually climb out, like blowtorch the bars and then climb out.
Yeah.
But you chickened out.
I did chicken out. I'm scared of height, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you think you guys could have actually done it, though?
Well, 50-50 chance. Yeah. But you know what? Nikki did climb up there. And let me see, could his head stick out? Nikki always had this strategy. If my head could stick out, the body could go in, like could go through.
Okay.
I said, okay. But I'm not going up there to try. I'll be the lookout. I did that day. I did the lookout. He climbed up there and sticks his head through the bar. Now, there's a little plexiglass beside that's the window. We're thinking about burning that one, but it's so stupid. And probably the alarm came off.
So now you sit at MCC for 18 months awaiting trial.
Right.
And the trial is going to be starting soon. Now, 21 of the 25 ghost shadows were tied together. So there's 13 murders that you guys are facing. And you said there are 13 bodies in this case. The jury's not going to overlook that. Go to your attorneys, see what kind of deal you can get. If you plead guilty to a few charges, here's the rule. You plead guilty, but no one cooperates, and no one rats on anyone else.
Then I'll take the plea.
Then you'll take the plea.
Right. I know I was dead either way, So I was facing 50 years, actually. 2 for RICO. RICO goes like this. A RICO and a RICO conspiracy. It comes with it.
Yeah.
But it's the same fucking thing. Like every act was done. There's nothing different. And then I charged with the third count was try to assassinate a witness. Women wrong.
Right. You decide to plead guilty to 3 counts.
Yeah, plead to
So which counts did you plead guilty to?
A RICO, conspiracy to RICO, and then attempted murder of the witness.
Okay. So Nikki Louie gets 15 years on his RICO.
Correct.
So you thought, okay, I'll probably get something like that. But then when you get sentenced, the judge told you Nikki Louie may have been the dinosaur, but that dinosaur laid an egg that became the monster that terrorized Chinatown.
Which is me.
That monster is you, Peter Chin. Therefore, I sentence you to the Federal Department of Corrections for a term of 35 years.
Correct. Yeah.
You were 26 years old.
Yeah.
So you're given more time than you've been alive.
Yeah. Now, also, he made a speech, too, also saying that the most I ever gave a person as an Italian mob guy is a guy called Ernie Boy. Yeah. Any Italian would heard about his name, know him. So I gave him 25 years. That's the most I ever gave. But then he lectured me on that.
Yeah. So you got 35 years.
Yes, correct.
And they sent you to Terre Haute prison.
Right.
There are only 3 Asian inmates in the whole prison.
Yeah.
So how did you function? Because a lot of these prisons are racially divided.
Right.
Blacks,
right.
whites, Mexicans.
Correct.
But there's only 3 Asians.
Right.
So how did you guys survive in that kind of situation?
See, in prison is actually like if you respect people, people will respect you. If people, in your case, if people just about time know who you are. If they don't know you, they will find out who you are. Yeah. So I had nothing to worry about. Yeah.
And you actually didn't know how to read or write going into prison.
I would say very limited. Very, very. I mean, I couldn't even make a sentence.
Right. You could even read your own paperwork.
Yeah. No, I could.
But eventually you actually learned to read.
Yes.
And you actually started a gambling business in prison.
Yeah. I did, yeah.
Yeah, you made 10% off every bet.
Yeah,
and you're making $700 a day.
Yeah.
Okay. Any violent situations while you're locked up?
No, there's one. There's only one that I caused it, maybe. Now, you could say that I started this because what happened was that, like 5 o'clock in the morning, it happened in Pennsylvania, right there, Pennsylvania, Allenwood. A guy came off the shift from the mess hall. It was really late, maybe 5 or 4 o'clock in the morning. He pressed the doorbell, and one of the officers, I guess he was busy with something else. He wasn't even there. He came a little bit late. He opened the door for that Cuban guy. He speaks Spanish, yeah, a Cuban guy. So he let him in, and the Cuban guy got pissed. Why this shit is happening? We were sleeping. So everybody was sleeping in the unit, and they put some shit on the doorknob where the officer usually sit in the office. Now, the officer turned the door and then turned the knob and saw shit in his ass. That's not it. Then later on, he came back around and pulled the fire alarm in the unit. Oh, there you go. That was it. So when the fire alarm go off like that, all the officer, anybody, secretary, even the woman that working in the office, got nothing to do with the unit. They all running to one places. Then then the officer told them what happened earlier. So they know that guy, basically, he did it. But they didn't lock him up, though. They wonder they still trying to investigate who pulled the fire alarm or what happened to the fire alarm, why it went off, maybe accidentally. So now they push everybody out from the unit. It was cold. It was like maybe in October. Now everybody, what you got on is, well, that's how you're going to walk out the door. So we walk out the door. We didn't come back to the unit until was count time, the last count. That go to Washington, that's like about 4:30. We were shivering and cold. So I got pissed already. Now, by the time I went back to the unit, where the lobby, where they had an open area, they call them, yeah, piled up with all sorts of stuff, blanket, extra blanket, books, a stack of all the officers, CO they call them. They just they go by the book now this time. Anything you're not supposed to have is going to be down there. So first thing I did, I went and checked on my bedboard. Now, bedboard, not too many people have it. I had it specially made wherever I go. So, you know, those prison beds, they got springs, like, you know, army bed, right? I can't, it hurt my back, you know, right? So everywhere I go, I had that made for me, trying to, as fast as they can. It's hard to smuggle one of them into your unit, big, 4x8? So they got it in. So now that was on a pile of shit. I had a chopstick make inside. They took that. They took everything that not supposed. If you got more than 4 novel, they throw the 10, 15 you have. But before that, they don't even bother with you that. You know, that's petty shit. So now, I got so pissed. So I asked one of the Spanish guys, "What the fuck happened earlier? What caused all this?" The guy pointed at him across the table. That guy, he did it. Blah, blah, blah. He explained to me. So I walk up to the guy. So one of the Chinese guys came with me. He's much so short a guy. So I said, you did this? I said, so all his homeboy was, you know, surrounding him, and, you know, they was hanging together by his door, by himself. I said, you did this fucking thing? I said, you know what you did? You caused, look what everybody. I said, listen to me. You caused all this shit. Everybody lost everything. I lost my pillow because I got double pillow. I lost my blanket. I had a cotton blanket, not a wool blanket. You know, things I had special things in there, it's hard to get. I got so mad. I said, fuck it, man. I couldn't even sleep tonight. So I went after the guy. I said, you so fucking dumb. You do some dumb shit like that. What you cause everybody lose everything because of you. So come here. So I grabbed his arm, right? Come here. I don't want to fight with you. I don't care now. He probably could beat the shit out of me. I didn't give a shit no more. So I grabbed his arm. We go to the TV room. Your homeboy's going to watch me between you and me one-on-one. Nobody's going to jump in and help me, okay? So I grabbed him, his arm. He didn't want to go, so he pulled back, right? I got to lose my arm. So now, when he got to lose my arm, he went back in his cell. Because he was standing right in his cell. I walk up to his cell. There's about 4 Spanish guys over there. I don't know if they're Cuban or they're Spanish, wherever they're from. They speak Spanish. So I grab him. I said, no, all your homeboys going to watch me and you. That's it. So, all right? So if they're going to watch, nobody's going to jump in on my side. I only have one guy anyway. So as I pull him, I just, come to with me in the TV room. Now, he went back in there. I don't know how the hell he got it so fast, a razor blade. Then the next time when he walked back out, right, I still tried to grab his arm. This time, he spit out a blade in his palm, that razor blade, and then tried to cut me my throat, right? So I slipped back, and I still have a mark over here. So he cut here and here. And then the blood, like I just moved back, that he missed me, right? So, but he still he nicked me over here anyway. He nicked me. So blood started skirting from it. And then he tried to cut the other Chinese guy. He did, which is he wear a short pant in the unit. And then he cut him from the back, and the blood was coming out. So all of a sudden, now the COC, they press the alarm again. Boom, here's the cop coming in. Lockdown, lock everybody down, check our hand and everything. I can't stop the blood. So they took me to the hole. Yeah, that's not how I met Guy Fisher. Yeah, that's
okay.
Maybe first time. That's when I first went into MCC. I like that man. He's a very, very good man. Yeah.
Well, you started getting transferred around.
Yeah.
They transfer you to the Federal Correctional Institute in Petersburg, Virginia. And that's where you get to know Sonny Franzese, the underboss of the Colombo crime family.
Correct.
The father of Michael Franzese, who's a regular on my show.
Correct, exactly.
And then later on, you get transferred to U.S. Penitentiary Allenwood in Pennsylvania, and you end up doing time with Joey Merlino, who was the rumored boss of the Philly Mafia, who I did his first interview as well.
Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah. Okay.
Interesting guy. Interesting guy.
Yeah, he's a nice man, good man. Yeah, all right.
So by 1994, Uncle Benny dies. The tongs sort of go away with the passing of his death. I mean, they still exist, but they're known as the tigers without teeth.
Yeah.
Because all the RICO cases basically tore a lot of them down.
Yeah, correct.
Your father dies around the same time as well. Right. And then you decide that you're not going back to the Ghost Shadows.
Yes.
What made you make that decision?
Well, actually, I had that in mind, but, seriously thinking, and if I had to go back again, I think I'll be the first to sacrifice again. I'm not going to go through all that. Yeah. I was young, I could sacrifice.
Yeah.
With my age, if I sacrifice for somebody, it's worth it. Even with my age, fine. But I know it's not going to be that way. So I'm not going to sacrifice for something that is not worth it.
Well, that next year, 1996, you were locked up with Floyd Mayweather's father.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, funny guy.
And he wanted to watch his son's first professional fight.
The HBO.
On HBO.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But I guess there's very specific rules about changing the channel. Like, you could actually get killed, change the channel in certain rooms.
If I'm sitting there, a guy from nowhere just come out and switch the channel, what you doing? You gonna cut my movie off? Yeah, you get killed for sure, yeah. No question.
Right, but you actually made sure that he was able to change the channel and not have any violence.
He asked me, because I was the only guy watching that movie channel. The rest of them, they're pretty occupied with other people, right? So I was sitting in the back watching that movie. I wasn't even thinking about, I was just sitting there actually, right? But the TV was turned on. All of a sudden, Mayweather came in. I don't know who was he. I thought he was one of the guys. I didn't know who was he. So he says, he did this, like how you give respect to Chinese people, like a monk, like this, right? He said, yeah, please, Pete, can I turn this channel? And I said, for what? What do you want to check? Oh, he said, then he explained to me, my son, Mayweather, he didn't say Mayweather, he said, my son get ready to fight on HBO. This is his first contract on HBO, you know, back in the 80-something. I forgot. No, 90-something. They're 90-something, not 80, 90-something.
Yeah.
It got to be 95 or something like that. So he said, I want to change this channel so I can watch. I said, why don't go to the sports TV room? He said, no, they won't let me watch it. They don't let you watch it. Oh, I could understand. Maybe they're watching other sports. There's still sport. There's so many sports going on. As long as that's sport TV, somebody's watching sport. You're not going to tell them turn just for your sport. So he says, can I watch it? And says, all right. Look, I was thinking at first, I said, look at this guy. He's fucking playing with me again. Right? I thought he's fucking bullshit. His son is fighting on HBO. That's number one. I didn't think he's, all right, you have the TV. But I told him, I'm coming back. I want to see you. I want to see, is it your son? If it's not your son, you'll have a problem. So later on, within 10, 20 minutes, I came back. His son already knocked out somebody, but he was talking already, right? His son, Floyd, what was his name?
Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah, he was talking on the mic. I looked at his son and looked at his father. Oh, shit. I didn't even ask it all. They look identical.
Yeah, they look close.
Small version, right?
Yeah.
Especially when he was younger. I said, okay, Mayweather, just forget it. You don't have to explain nothing. I'm gone. I gave him the TV.
All right, because Floyd Mayweather was serving 5.5 years for drug dealing.
Oh, I didn't know what he was in there for, actually.
Yeah. Well, he was actually training his son, but then when he went to jail, he had to get someone else to train him.
I don't know nothing about his background. Yeah.
Well, by 2005, you had served 20.5 years, and based on the guidelines, you were maxed out.
Correct.
So they released you June 2005.
Yeah, if they could make me do one more day, they would.
Right.
But they can't, by the law. That's it.
What was it like to come out of prison after 20 years?
Well, it's good to finally, like they say, breathe the free air. Yeah. It felt good, yeah. But when I stepped out of prison, I didn't think I would step out. I thought they're going to have another thing waiting for me at the door, which they have plenty of time with other people.
Well, yeah, when you come out, the tongs and the street gangs in Chinatown were essentially gone.
Yeah.
You know, and I'd interviewed China Mac. You know, he was a ghost shadow as well. You know him as well, right?
I never met him, but I know who is he.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know his father? Because his father, I guess, had cooperated and he was...
Oh, yeah, that's in the book somewhere, yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole story behind that. Yeah. So you come out and you have to get a regular job.
Yeah.
So this is your first real job in your life.
Supposedly, yeah, but when I first got out, no. It wasn't a job.
Yeah, but later on, you end up getting a driver job.
Yeah.
You know, it was your first traditional job at the age of at the age of 46.
Yeah.
So what was it like working a 9-to-5 job at 46 for the first time? Yeah?
Yep. Even now today, I like to work. Yeah.
Well, and, you know, some of the former members of the Flying Dragons, the Hip Sing, the Tong On, they actually wanted to sit down with you and talk.
Yeah.
How were those conversations?
Well, I had a lot of pros that when I came home. Oh, I have 10 unit. You know what unit is, right? Like 10 bricks. For me, you know, to do something with. I said, that person, are you going to wait 20 years to wait for me? Huh? Well, how you say it? To make money, to put money in my pocket. In other words, you must be fucking crazy. So I don't want nothing like that. When I came home, I decided if I could make money in a legitimate way, I could do it in a legitimate way. You know what I'm saying? I could do it the right way. So, yeah, I wasn't worried about nothing like money or something like that. So I told him, I said, no, don't even try that shit with me. Go somewhere else.
Well, yeah, you end up starting legitimate businesses. You had a karaoke club in Queens called Chopsticks.
Yeah, still there today.
Still there. And then you actually joined forces with a friend of yours and started a construction on 10-story hotel in Long Island City.
Right.
Is that done now?
It's been done for 8 years already. Yeah, it's been done.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you actually transitioned.
I like working. Yeah.
You transitioned into actual legitimate work where you got to pay taxes and, you know. Yeah. Has anyone ever tried to extort you? You know, make you pay protection money?
What's your thing?
Probably not. And once you got out, you reconnected with Potato.
Yeah.
who, did the shooting that didn't work out.
Yeah.
As well as Nikki Louie. You guys are friends now?
Yeah. That's it.
Okay. But when you look at the original 1985 indictment, 4 of the 25 ghost shadows are still fugitives.
Yes.
So they probably left the country somewhere? Or?
Yeah, they're not here no more. Yeah.
Okay.
They're not in the United States.
And then this year you drop your book, In the Ghost Shadows, The Untold Story of Chinatown's Most Powerful Crime Boss.
Well, everything is written over there everywhere. I check 100 times over what my writer Eric did, right? And I've been with him many times, hundreds of times, to make sure that is the way it happened. I don't want him to write something that's not even true, fabricate some shit in there. That is not true. Why are you going to write something like that? I don't care. Let the audience, judge me what I am. Let them think what I am. Let them decide what it is. Write the way it is. This is not a fairy tale book, a novel, right? This is the way it is. Just write the way it is. Everything you write about me is over with. Like with the government, that's it. Dead in the water. In other words, it's over. I did my time. I did everything with it. I paid my debt to society, and my life move on with this. Yeah, never work in my life. I start to like it. I start to go this way. Yeah.
So these days, 2025, is there still a Chinese mafia who runs things in Chinatown or not really?
Not in the open. Not that I know. Not that I heard of. No.
Not like it was before.
No. If you be in a trailer for extortion, you be in there tomorrow. Quick, I guess. Things are different now. The society changed. Yeah. You know what? How my book came about? Because of Mike Moy. You heard of Mike Moy?
No, not really.
He's a former detective.
Okay.
Yeah. Because of him, how this book came out. I turned down a book right before I came out from prison. I turned them down 3 times. The 3rd time they gave me a high offer, I said no. Because they said, well, you don't have to tell us everything about when you landed here. After you landed here, you don't have to tell us that. But we want your story before that is nobody knew until I told Eric about it. So I kept it to myself all that. It's very painful to talk about. So I says, the writer says, you don't have to tell us about this, but you have to tell about this before you land in the United States. I said, that's very painful. That's the part I cannot give it to you. I'm not going to give it to you. So I turned them down 3 times until Mike Moy came along and convinced me and to do this book. He says, someday, somehow in the future, somebody pick up your book and read it, and they could help one person. That's what he said. And they could help one person. That's more than enough. That really touched my heart. Nowadays, I felt I more or less, I like to work with people that like help other people. Yeah, I want to.
Well, Peter Chin, I appreciate you coming in, doing your first interview ever.
Yeah, this is my first.
Your first interview ever, and it's a hell of a book, man. We read through it. There's a lot more. Yeah, I loved it, man. Wow. I loved it. This only covers a small piece of it. It goes into a lot more detail, all these stories.
They call that galley, that book, but that's not whole win. That's not. Some of them is not the way, how correct that book is. There's an editor, in other words. Yeah. So, the edited one, that is going to be out on 21st. That is, the last edit. So everything, I read through it and everything, what I told him, that's the way I want him to write it that way. That's it.
Well, that's what it is, man. I appreciate you coming in. Wish you all the best.
Oh, thank you. All right.
Until next time. Peace.